While esports started off as a niche thing among smaller communities, it has absolutely exploded in the past decade. Teams across different games spend hours and hours training, have major sponsorships, and compete in tournaments streamed by millions of viewers. Today, we'll be looking at some of the most popular esports games and see just how much money there is in pro gaming. First up, Counter-Strike Global Offensive. The Counter-Strike name has been associated with professional gaming ever since the first version, which was a mod of Half-Life, but with the release of Global Offensive in 2012, Valve committed to the game as an esports platform in a major way. The careful balance of the guns and official maps, along with competition features built into the game, show how Global Offensive is purpose-built for the big leagues. Valve's push for CSGO as an esport goes so far as the company actually sponsoring the Counter-Strike Global Offensive Major Championships, called the Majors in short. This tournament is the be-all and end-all of CSGO competitions and carries the ultimate prestige in the Counter-Strike scene. The first Majors took place a year after this version of the game came out, hosted by DreamHack in Sweden. Fnatic were the winners of this first tournament, and they took home a prize pool of $250,000. That was 9 years ago, and the CSGO majors have become much bigger and popular now. The last major, as of this video, was held in Antwerp, and it was conquered by FaZe Clan. Their pool from just this tournament was $1 million, but that's just what a team can win in this one tournament. CSGO teams play in a variety of tournaments throughout the year, and combined with their salaries, a single player could be earning 6 figures a year. That's a lot already. But then we have to consider the brand deals and sponsorships, which can have net worths of up to billions of dollars. Playing CSGO at a high level pays really well. Next, we have Dota 2. Dota 2 has a few similarities to Counter-Strike. It too is a sequel to a mod, namely Defense of the Ancients, which was a mod of Warcraft 3. Valve specifically built Dota 2 from the ground up to be their other major vehicle for esports. They sponsor the International, which is Dota's equivalent of the CSGO majors. One interesting difference between Dota 2 and CSGO, though, is how much money there is to be made. CSGO started featuring 7-figure prize pools almost a decade after the first majors, while the very first International had a prize pool of $1.6 million. That pool was taken by Natus Vincere. By comparison, and we're gonna advise you to hold your breath, the winners of 2021's The International took home over $40 million. Team Spirit must be one of the most valuable esports teams in the world right now. Perhaps to counteract those insane tournament rewards, Dota 2 players tend to make a little less money from sponsorships than CSGO players, but they do still pull in 6 figures on an annual basis. Valve's setup of the International puts more emphasis on individual players than the teams they play for, so we're not quite seeing the billion-dollar sponsorships here. That said, major companies are invested in Dota 2, including HyperX, DHL, and Tinder. And now for Fortnite. We're stepping out of the Valve world now and into a recent success in video games. Fortnite first came out as an early access title in 2017, but it didn't become the insane smash that it is today until 2020, when the game was nearing completion. It's easily the world's most recognizable battle royale game, and some of the biggest companies in the world have tried and failed to dethrone it. In May 2018, Epic Games committed to spending $100 million to make Fortnite a popular esport title. The first realization of that investment was the Fortnite Pro-Am tournament, which took place during E3 2018. That tournament only attracted an audience of 3,000 people. The biggest Fortnite tournament to date was the Fortnite World Cup in 2019. This tournament had a prize pool of $30 million, spread out across solo, duo, and a few other formats. There hasn't been another Fortnite World Cup yet, but that's understandable. It's been hard to arrange anything in the years after 2019 thanks to a certain virus. The biggest moneymakers in Fortnite are the streamers. Just consider the fact that Ninja is a guy who plays video games on Twitch, and he's had sponsorships and deals with companies like Adidas and Microsoft. His annual earnings from streaming alone amount to $20 million. He's not alone in Fortnite's success. Another popular streamer is Booga, who also won the solo format of the Fortnite World Cup. We think that Fortnite is struggling to flourish as an esport because it doesn't emphasize team play all that much, and there's far more money to be made streaming it instead. Up next is Street Fighter V. Fighting games are a separate subculture in the esports world. While the games we've talked about so far either achieved esports notoriety by accident or through purposeful design, gamers have gravitated towards fighting games as a competitive sport since the arcade days, and the game that kicked off this trend in the arcades was none other than Street Fighter. We'll focus on Street Fighter V in this video because it's the newest one and it's also on its way out, but the history of Pro Street Fighter could really be its own video. There are 2 major competitions where Street Fighter V is played. First is the Capcom Pro Tour, which is a circuit of Capcom-hosted events that culminate in the Capcom Cup, which feels weird to say. While Street Fighter IV was played in the first 2 years of the Pro Tour, it was replaced by Street Fighter V in 2016. That iteration of the Pro Tour had a prize pool of $500,000, but that has only grown in the years since. But the mecca of fighting game community is the Evolution Championship Series, also known as EVO. This is an event that features tournaments from a variety of fighting games, from Mortal Kombat to Smash, but Street Fighter definitely has its own reverence in EVO. The Street Fighter tournaments in particular attract major companies from the gaming world, including Sony of all companies, to invest into their prize pools. But money and sponsorships might be worth less than the prestige you get in the fighting community if you can triumph at EVO. Now we have Rocket League. It shouldn't really come as a surprise that Rocket League is one of the biggest titles in esports today. Football, after all, is one of the biggest sports in the world, and Rocket League is just a more fun version of that. That's why there's always a lot of buzz around the Rocket League Championship Series, which is organized by Psyonix, the company that develops the game. The RLCS got off to a small-scale start with a prize pool of just $55,000. They've scaled up rapidly since then. There's now a whole league for Rocket League, where teams compete across a variety of events that culminate in the Championship Series. The prize pool for 2020's Rocket League season was a total of $4.5 million, and the game isn't lacking in sponsorships either. In front of the names of the teams that compete in the Rocket League circuit, you'll find such names as Gale Force, iBuyPower, and even Renault. Yes, the automaker. Professional Rocket League is a big deal. Rocket League is another game that's huge in the streaming world. It's one of the most highly streamed games on Twitch, and the biggest Rocket League streamers can have annual incomes in the six figures. Many of the streamers also happen to play Pro Rocket League as well, so they can combine their earnings from streaming and from the pros to make a wad of cash bigger than the ball that gets kicked around in the game. And finally, StarCraft 2. While the fighting game community has always been rather niche, the global esports movement can be said to have started with StarCraft. The game was huge in South Korea, and the country became a hub of professional StarCraft play. Such was the popularity of the game that Blizzard took their sweet time releasing StarCraft 2, and part of the pitch for the sequel was a more organized esports scene. StarCraft 2 came out in 2010, so the esports scene of the game has evolved and shifted a lot over the years. Until 2020, the biggest StarCraft 2 tournament was the World Championship Series, or WCS. You'd think that interest was running out by now, but Blizzard has actually entered into a 3-year partnership with ESL and DreamHack for organizing and hosting tournaments. Pro StarCraft 2 is about to get bigger and badder. Even though the game is old, there's still a lot of money to be made in StarCraft 2. The top players of the game are earning in the six figures when accounting for tournament winnings and salaries, and players are sponsored by some of the biggest companies in esports. Mainstream interest has declined in the game though, and current StarCraft 2 players are in it for the passion, almost as much as the money. That's it for this video, and while we have you, let us know what your favorite moments are from the esports titles you love. But before you go, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.